Okay, everybody, we have Tomb of the Spider Queen, our first map. We are currently in the quarterfinals at the HGC 2017 qualifier for Europe. The first qualifier. Two teams are, of course, already qualified, thanks to them making it to BlizzCon, Fnatic and Dignitas. And now we have, in our match here, two beasts determined. And we have Diamond Skin going up against them. Tomb of the Spider Queen is our first map. I'm Khaldor, and with me is Thatcher. And yeah, we have our first map starting up, so I'm expecting a pretty close series between these two teams, to be honest with you.
Likewise, it's a really interesting series to jump into this early because both of these teams made up of some very well-known names. Like we mentioned before, Diamond Skin made up of a lot of members of the original ePunks roster, and to be determined, the legendary ADRD, one of the was on the original Dignitas lineup to do exceptionally well at one of the previous globals.
Yeah, the mad scientist himself. And we're actually starting things off with the ban on Tacita here right away. I mean, Vision on Tomb of the Spider Queen is always quite nice. There's several things that you can combo off with Tacita. The one thing that you have to also know is that Varian is banned at the tournament because he's too new. We are actually on the Varian patch. All the heroes are allowed with the exception of Varian himself. And we have starts with Malfurion and a Johanna for the wave clear plus the Tigers, which we basically see in every single draft these days, either as a ban or as an early pick.
Indeed, Tyker's really, really strong. He shreds tanks, which is really exceptionally useful. And he does give either a good amount of area control with the Dragon Laser Drill, or great sieging potential with the Odin. And he doesn't have to rely 100% on that percentage damage. He can still use his spray and pray overkill to chase people down. He's basically really good as just an overall hero, but he's not at the level he was in Alpha, where he had insane AoE damage, which basically shredded everything.
Yeah, good old Alpha, Tacita, Tigers, Abathur. Let's copy Archon or Odin and win every fight within a second.
Yeah, throw a Rhaegar in, get Bloodlust.
So in case that you didn't know, back then Abathur's copy had actually access to the heroic ability. Hashtag balance, hashtag never forget. Diamond Skin is picking up the Vala here. If you go for an early Malfurion, what we usually see is either Vala or the Liming being picked up. The cooldown reduction is of course quite nice. You get the mana push in as well, so your damage healer is more or less guaranteed to just like power out the AoE spells the entire time. On this map, having a bit of poke is always nice, and of course we all know Tomb of the Spider Queen is very much so focused on wave clear overall, which is actually the reason why Johanna is chosen over even Muradin in this game.
Yeah, like the normal set you would see on most maps would be ETC as the ban, and the team that banned ETC would usually pick up the Muradin really early on, but in this case, like you said, Johanna being picked up that little bit earlier because the AoE wave clear is amazing. But Muradin, still immensely valuable. He is being picked up by Diamond Skin here, gonna get some really good value, especially if he can lock down that Tychus. A good Stormbolt can really get to Tychus. He doesn't have a huge amount of tankiness on his own.
Yeah, and especially when Muradin picks up his 16 with the heavy impact and of course just hop into the backline and destroy nearly everything. TBD banning out the solo laners. Like the usual strategy that we have on this map is that you have 4 heroes rotate between the mid and the top, occasionally deviating to the bot lane where the 2 solo laners are facing each other. Chen, one of the best solo laners in that sense, so both of the teams are going to look at that. Alarak being banned out amongst other things, also because he's very strong on the solo lane. But let's not forget about Thrall, who after the recent patch is all of a sudden back with Earthquake and can have a massive, massive impact on teamfights later on in the game as well.
Yeah, Earthquake, an immensely scary ability that no one expected to see until those most recent change to his kit. And like you said, the Alarak ban makes a lot of sense. He's just the ultimate solo laner at this point, one of the few heroes who can 1v1 basically anyone in the game at this point. To be determined, bringing out the Zarya here, giving extra tankiness to their team, some extra protection to that Tychus, and Zarya, with that damage, can work really efficiently, and there is that Thrall we were talking about.
So Thrall is in the game, he will have the bot lane, and that's already a lot of shields that these bad boys have. Also a hero that we see these days a little bit more often, now that Malf is taken, Tacita banned. We could also see Morales again. Morales actually is played even more often than Rhaegar, at least in the last 2 tournaments that we had, simply because a lot of the comps that we are seeing these days don't really have the potential to jump back into the backline and try and lock her down here. Options, of course, in the setup for the players here are still an Oriel that we could see, but TBD has been playing a couple of really interesting interesting combos in the past tournaments that we had. And for our opponent, we have a little bit more wave clear. The Leoric here, of course, also in a position where he can play the bot lane if he has to.
Yeah, Leoric, very much a very strong solo laner as long as he can get that Drain Hope. If you can leave him down there, he will get a good amount of efficiency. His Skeletal Swing doesn't do as much damage as it used to do, but it is still viable at clearing up the waves. It takes a while, but Leoric with his Sustain, he can just hold the lane for as long as he needs to, as long as he doesn't get burst down by Thrall that little bit. Question is, what's their last pick going to be? A little bit more range damage, or maybe even melee of their own if they want to go very heavy into the backline like you did suggest earlier?
I mean, at this point, they could still go into a Liming. Lunara for poke damage wouldn't really be too bad here, even though they don't know yet what the healer is going to be for the opponent. So they have like two heroes that are pretty much based on the auto attack damage. With Vala, they could have just simply chosen an additional mage. Heroes that we still sometimes see, of course, are also a Jaina for a bit more burst damage. And with Leoric having the Entomb ready later on, with Muradin in the stun, Malfurion in the roots, you could have gone into a Jaina as well if you really wanted to. But TBD, they still need their healer, and they have more or less 3 options at this point. And I'm a little bit curious to see what they're actually going to go for with this one now.
Likewise, they could go with the Brightwing. Brightwing and Morales are the 2 heroes they could grab in that would give them the cleanse. Brightwing doesn't get as much value on this map because it's a little bit smaller, but Brightwing has value on every map at this point. But it's a question of who you want to run who can keep up with the damage over time of Lunara. So need to make that decision. The question is whether they have enough damage over time to continue to stack up Ariel, if that's what they want to go with. And if not, whether they want that single target healing or they want that slower AoE healing and they just think they can survive through the poison and the multi-shots until everyone is healed up again.
I mean, one way or another, they already have quite a bit of survivability thanks to the sustain that all of the heroes that they so far have chosen more or less has. Thrall with the Frost Wolf Resilient, Zarya has the shields that she can offer, Johanna at the same time with the Laws of Hope on 4 and also the Iron Skin. So adding Brightwing for a little bit more AoE heal would definitely work for them here now too. But they definitely have options. I mean, Brightwing of course excels on bigger maps even more, but you can play her here too. And they actually go for Brightwing, so we have Brightwing locked down. And with that, 2 pretty sweet comps for our first opening game here. So guys, we're going to jump into the first map, Tomb of the Spider Queen. TBD going to play versus Diamond Skin here in the quarterfinal at the HGC 2017 qualifier number 1 for Europe. Alright everybody, game number 1, Tomb of the Spider Queen. We are looking at the 2 Bs determined going up against Diamond Skin in the quarterfinals. Diamond Skin, the old ePunks lineup. And to the left side of the map we have the Bs with a Blade on Thrall, Nick on Tychus, the Mad Scientist himself on Zarya, we're seeing Bad Benny on Johanna, and Curson on Brightwing. To the right side of the map, it's Nando and Leoric for Diamond Skin. We have Wolf Joe on Malfurion, Raid Boss on Lunara, Chris Explosion on Muradin, and Chris is playing Vala here. I'm Khaldor, and with me is Tetcher today for the coverage.
Right, so for now though, we're starting off at the beginning of the game with the left-hand team just body blocking the minions for the moment. Diamond Skin trying to slow that down a bit. No, sorry, that is 2 Bs.
Yeah, the Bs here so far trying to just delay that lane slightly, which can help you at the beginning. At the same time, Chris Explosion is also trying that with Muradin a little bit. That doesn't really work properly. In terms of builds, we also have a Drain Hope build for Leoric already as he takes over the bot lane, but the rotation is already about to start for the 2 teams here, with 2 heroes already choosing blocks since both of the teams are heavily focused on auto attack heroes.
Yep, whereas Johanna, though, does not end up taking the Reinforced talent, which is basically a more consistent block that she can get on level 1, instead going with that Regen Master, as she can rotate around the map very quickly to pick up the Regen Globes. Another talent we have here, though, is the Demolitions Expert, ADRD, going for that Harass style here.
Yeah, we see that a lot these days. Zarya, another one of the heroes that has actually great versatility when it comes down to the talents that he can take on her. We have also in this case right now once more that rotation actually so far. Oh, Explosion missing that stun, hoping for Bad Benny to continue the rotation down into the middle. But he himself needs to be a bit careful. Will maybe even have to jump out there, but yeah. So the rotation so far taken by the blue team. They're doing pretty well here. Chris Explosion is 0 for 2 in Storm Bolts, trying to pull Nomi here. But let's see if we can maybe get a few of those in later on when it really matters.
Yeah, and for now, as long as he isn't losing the XP in the lane, he should be fine. He didn't have his team with him to follow up on any of his Storm Bolts anyway. In the bot lane, however, Nanda struggling a little bit. Blade has been very heavy on the micro, dodging out the way of a lot of those Drain Hopes, so Nanda has been kind of reliant on the globes to keep him sustained, at least in this early game.
When we're talking about Nando and Thrall, one thing that we have to highlight here, of course, is that with the level 1 talent that he chose, he deviated a bit from the usual Chain Lightning build that we oftentimes see on the solo lane. So he doesn't have exactly the amount of sustain and bullying that you want to have there. But he's still doing fairly well, and especially since these rotations are coming in to help him out a little bit, he is in a very good position right now to make sure that Leoric has a bit of a problem here later down the road, holding that lane.
Yeah, he is struggling a bit, but as long as he continues, if he can start getting his drain hooks off, he should sustain. We actually, like we said, saw Muradin go down there a little just to add some extra harassment. Right now, 2B's Determined seem to be a little bit more dominant in terms of the rotations, but it is nothing that Diamond Skin can't really deal with. They're just playing a little bit further back, biding their time for their talents to really start to take effect. Yeah,
they're currently just playing this a little bit more passive, but overall it's of course focused on the first potential tournament that we have for both teams. With level 4 talents now in, we have also a lot of sustain with a lot of hope. Brightwing actually decided in favor of the Unfurling Spray on 1 and went into Peekaboo. So a bit of additional vision, especially around turn-ins and potential boss grabs is now in as well. With Chris on Vala heading into the multi-shot build. We have seen quite a bit of deviation on that, with level 7 talents going into Vault, for example, or later on then trying to go for more auto-attack damage as well. But so far, everybody more or less following the standard builds on the heroes with no crazy deviations yet.
Yeah, nothing too far out of the ordinary, but you did bring up a very good point in terms of the fact that we are seeing the Vault style. Bye-bye ADRD, very nice stun by Cross Potion to set that up for everyone there. But yeah, seeing the Vault talent, which basically gives you a reset on it if you kill your target, and that includes minions. So if you can time it right, players have been using it to basically vault in, kill a minion, and vault forward again, which basically gives you a huge gap closer as Valor, or even a good escape if you can time it right and make sure that your critical strike that you get from the vault lands on the minion you want to kill.
Yeah, and that actually was currently a pretty nice move that we saw with the kill against Zarya there. So AD already down, losing a couple of the gems that they were holding too, couldn't pick up all of them. And at this point, an advantage for the red team, who will only need another 8 gems turned in to complete the first objective. Chris is the one that they choose to get there. He barely isn't able to get that done though, since Bad Benny used the shield glare originally to just lock him down. But now they're trying to go for kill number 2 against Blade, who barely escapes, also thanks to the Frostbolt resilience.
Yeah, they wanted to try and capitalize on the fact that Chris, yes, he can't turn in his gems because he's being harassed too much, but if they can get a kill, they can put themselves in a better position for that. But unfortunately, like you said, lots of resilience makes you too tanky. We do see that Vault talent on level 7 coming in for Valor, the Death Dealer. And we, of course, see Nature's Culling allowing Lunara to consistently take down those Web Weavers coming in at level 7 as well.
Yeah, we have the Lingering Apparition for Leoric, so it's a bit more of an escape tool at his disposal right now. Nanda is still battling it out with Blade. Both teams on 7 now, and both still very eager to turn in here. Raid Boss with a poke against Nick, went on level 1 also into the natural perspective, so he has the extra vision on Nick whenever he gets his auto attack in, which is absolutely fantastic if you're trying to prevent someone from turning in. Raid Boss himself will finally complete the turn in. Everybody else was focused on the bottom turn in spot, and Lunara was simply sneaking in, so the red Web Weavers are going to join in, and we will see Diamond Skin on the defensive, on the aggression for the first time when it comes to the objective of the map.
Yeah, we're seeing them try to play. We're seeing both teams just trying to rush as much wave clear as possible due to the fact that 2B's Determined want to clear up the wave so that they're pushed a bit further back so they can deal with the Web Weavers easier. Whereas, of course, Diamond Skin want to push up the lane so the Web Weavers will get more damage onto structures as opposed to wasting some duration onto minions.
Yeah, and well, for now, the interesting part actually about the builds these days is that we also see Skullcracker a little bit more on Muradin. Not so in this game, where we still have the normal cooldown reduction, but against Illidan builds, we have seen that yesterday, and it's kind of fun that you have that extra auto attack speed and the mini stuns being used just to lock down heroes like Illidan a little bit. So it's cool that we see even more talent diversity than usual.
Yeah, it's cool. It was a very nice change. The fact we are still seeing the original build means that it wasn't undertuned in the slightest, just to make way for this new style. So it's always cool to see. Heroics landing for Diamond Skin first here. We do see that leaping strike avatar. The Reign of Vengeance, Tranquility, not the Twilight Dream this time. They want some more of that sustain. And the Entomb, which we see drop down onto ADRD here, but they're unable to go too much deeper to try and engage onto him. But he is dropped to half health.
Yeah, they can't capitalize on the Entomb here. They were trying to get an early kill with the advantage of having their heroic abilities already in play. But we see them take down one of the forts, and that alone is already a big, big win. So they are going to try and get a second turn in before level 10 hits for 2B is determined, but right now it seems like with Bad Benny being very passive here as well, and then just picking up additional waves, we will see level 10 in, and then a fight for both teams having access to their heroic abilities.
Yeah, Diamondskin unable to find the minions on the map as their lanes are too pushed up in order to grab the gems they would need for their second turn in. However, like we said, they do have a lot of map control, so they are going to slowly make their way there. They currently have managed to grab themselves enough so if they can get to those turn-ins, then they're going to be able to. But a lot of time has been burned just waiting for the lanes to push into range of them.
Talking about lanes pushing, with them grabbing the camp here, we have a little bit more push for just a few seconds in the mid lane before both of the camps collide. So ADRD is going to try and just get some of the AoE in so that they can maybe take down the night camp a bit faster. We have Nick in the back as well. Bad Benny already making a bit of a play for Crisplosion, getting him rather low. ADRD is getting poked, but at the bot lane, Curson, Blade and himself might be able to get a bit more damage on the heroes like Nanda to get some space where they can finally complete their own turn in.
Yeah, they did actually try to make an Earthquake play onto Nanda as they did have picked that heroic. They're now going in onto Tyker's body blocking him great with Muradin, but Raid Boss was zoned out by the expulsion zone from Zarya, and that does save Nick's life here. The turn-in did also happen for 2B's determined, thanks to Blade sneaking up to the top area. So great play by them, saving the Tigers with the expulsion zone and getting their turn-in. So they are in a good position now.
All of the cooldowns have already been used with the heroics here, and that means that with the blue warriors now coming down, they will only have access to a few of them. But they need to get some damage done. There's an entire level that is currently missing for the Bees compared to Diamondskin, so a slight lead for the red team as is, but it's all going to depend on how well they can defend against that first Webweaver wave. Already the mid lane, the target for Benny, Curson and Nick, and even Blade joining in. They're trying to push with 4, as up at the top lane, Zarya is now making her over into the middle to help out here. The wall is going to fall for sure, but they have to ideally get a little bit more than only that.
Yeah, ADRD moving in, tanking a single shot from that fort so that he can get up a little bit more energy so he can drop some more damage. And now pushes in with the Webweaver. Thrall is stunned out a bit, but he's tanking through that with the help of Zarya Shield once again, just keeping that energy of ADRD at about the 50% mark. He is already fully stacked in terms of his Demolitions Expert here. So we are seeing a good amount of harass. They were able to get that fort in the mid lane, so they do even up the structure count, but bot lane is about to change that as the minion wave pushed up super aggressively for Diamondskin.
There's a lot of experience that they actually missed out there, and with the split of Leoric into the bot lane, the experience lead is still on the side of Diamondskin, and they will get a level 13 talent fairly soon. There we have it now. Blade is taking over at the bottom of the map, attempting, of course, to close that gap as fast as possible so that they can use their own level 13 talent. But another turn-in in the bottom turn-in spot has already ensured another Webweaver wave for the red team. Diamondskin will once again continue the push.
Yeah, they've been holding on to those gems since the last blue turn-in. They did have enough, but they were zoned out, like we said, because they tried to make that kill onto Nick. They're going to try and push up into this top lane because bot lane will die by itself, and Nanda is already pushing up with that. He may even rotate up here to assist with this, as the Webweaver will deal with bot on its own. But doesn't look like it. Instead, we're going to see just a bit of harass from the 3 range characters in this top lane and just leave Nanda to push the bot lane. And actually they have sent Muradin to the mid lane to try and harass that a bit as well. So they're trying to get some structure damage. Mid lane's actually being closed in on quite aggressively, but they are able to stay behind the Webweaver and keep themselves alive.
Yeah, so far, no 13 talent just yet. They will hit it soon. They're trying to buy a little bit more time for that, and now finally they get it. We had that advantage for Diamondskin the entire time, and now they can finally choose Giant Killer on the side of Thrall. But once again, the Entomb coming down, and the Thrall with the Earthquake immediately. Nick dropping the drill. They're trying to get for the first kill here, and they get Nanda. This is only the second kill in the game. We're 11 minutes in, but a play for Thrall is being made as the roots come on the ground, and they're trying to blow him to pieces.
Now they're trying to turn it onto Bad Betty, who once again put his life on the line to save his teammate. He does go down. He already was able to save Nick earlier on with that Blessed Shield to prevent the capitalization on that Entomb. We're seeing just a huge place from Johanna, but in that case, it did not pay off because she was closed in on by that wonderful leaping strike from Raid Boss.
2 kills against 1 now, and of course level 15.5 on the board, which means that in only half a level we will see another talent advantage for Diamondskin. So right now, the Bees picking up their 13 are looking at Burning Rage. We're having that's the stuff for Thrall. We're seeing Pain is temporary for Zarya here. Bit of a panic button that is available to her now. But of course that AoE through Johanna is going to help her closing those waves out a little bit more. Zarya at the top lane is dying, and slowly and steadily we're actually seeing a massive advantage here building up for Diamond Skin. They have a 1.5 level lead. They get access to the level 16 talent, and they're continuously pushing through the lanes now.
Yeah, they're seriously trying to capitalize on every single advantage they have, grabbing the last fort available to be determined, and are just going to pull back. They know they're in a good position. They're getting very, very close to getting another turn in here, but they're just going to try and grab those. They're going to get rid of the gems they have and then move into the mid lane, which is currently reasonably pushed up that they'd be able to grab the gems they need for that last bit of the turn in.
Chris also going for much higher focus now on the auto attacks, with him not only picking up Tempered by Discipline on 13, but the Seething Hatred on 16. So he's really just focusing on the AA attacks here, whereas we have a nearly complete Drain Hope build for Leoric, disregarding for a moment the level 4 talent. And in addition to that, we also have now finally the completed build on Muradin, who has the extra stun with the heavy impact. And with that lead, Diamond Skin is making a play for the boss now.
Yeah, and I'm just to reiterate onto Chris's build that you mentioned, I am really a fan of the build that he is running here, because basically he's made it so with Seething Hatred, he gains 2 stack of Hatred for every auto attack as opposed to 1. Nice boss capture there, with Muradin giving some great zoning. The Entomb was dropped to Bad Betty as well, so they're going to try and capitalize onto him. The Expulsion Zone is enough to zone him away, and as such, they're able to actually, we do see, to be determined, actually able to grab the kill there without losing anyone, despite that Entomb really separating Bad Benny from his team.
That was a fantastic ult that we just saw from ADRD. The Expulsion Zone just trapping Muradin completely, and this boss is not really going to get a whole lot of value for them. So that was definitely a nice play that we just saw from the Bees, and they are back on even talent levels with their opponent. Now, of course, we still have one of the camps taken on the map, being taken out as well. And with that, level 16, we now have more pressure against Muradin, who has to deal with the Tempest Fury plus Giant Killer. Huge damage bonus here for Thrall now. Also, with all the auto attack damage dealers that we see in the game, the pickup of Imposing Presence on the side of Johanna is definitely going to make the life of the front line a little bit easier for the Bees.
Yeah, we also have the Game Train coming in from ADRD. His team is playing quite grouped up, as they do have Johanna and Thrall just sort of heroing the front line together. So those extra shields are going to be very nice indeed. And to finish the point I was making on Chris's build here, basically the idea is to make it so that you get to 10 stacks of Hatred even quicker. Because with this 2 stacks per auto attack instead of 1 and the extra duration on it, he's going to get the value of Tempered by Discipline and the extra damage from Punishment here. Nice escape by Raid Boss.
Yeah, Raid Boss gets away here, and you've been talking about damage a bit, no? So far the damage output on the side of Vala is pretty decent. She's at 27k, Lunara at 26, but both of them trading far behind Tychus, who's already at 37,000, and Thrall at 35,000 himself. Chris is in trouble and actually taken out here, gets another wall charge off, but that doesn't save his life either. So all of a sudden we're having the Bees with a huge amount of pressure against the mid lane. They grab level 18 and are now making a play for the first keep of the game.
Yeah, they're going to try and push in with this. The Web Weaver is already down, so they are just going with their minions here. Here comes the Dragon Laser and the Earthquake here. So they really want to try and commit to this. See the harassment coming out of ADRD. He has a huge amount of energy. Raid Boss trying to harass this. Once again, the Entomb landing onto Bad Betty. They get a good amount of drain onto him, but that Iron Skin is going to allow him to push back through and escape. The Keep will survive for now, but they're not done. They're going to continue to harass this until their next set of minions alive, and then they're going to try and make the play while Valor still is dead.
They have to really hurry. Vala is only down for another 12 seconds. They're actually trying to get a kill here, going for the Expulsion Zone again. Muradin just jumped in. He's in trouble, goes for the Avatar, and that's the end of Chris Explosion. All of a sudden, one of the tanks gone, and we see them trying to go for Nanda as well. Both have to retreat here, and that's keep number 1. What looked like an easy game for Diamond Skin for a long time now turned, and all of a sudden it's the Bees who are significantly in the lead thanks to an experience gain and also to them taking out the first keep. They still haven't gotten the fort at the bot lane, but with a play against the keep, they now have the mid lane continuously pushing against Diamond Skin.
Yeah, so with that mid lane continuously pushing, they have no issue grabbing that keep when they have the time to do so. For now, though, they are just guarding the turn-in. There's easily enough gems in play at the moment for Diamond Skin to make their way to that turn and then get rid of them. So we are seeing 2 Bees Determined just preventing that from happening. They're not going to let their lead slip away They're taking the control they have and they're holding onto it and just keeping the pressure on to Diamond Skin.
They also have the exact amount of gems that they need. They are going to get another web weaver wave. And they can start to focus at the top lane. If they can push the top lane right now with the web weavers, they are more or less guaranteed to get a free fort at the bot lane.
Yeah, so that's what they're going to try and do here. Right now they're pressuring mid laners. That's what they already have catapults in. If they can pressure that one a bit, then the web weaver will push up with catapults behind it, which will once again free up some of their heroes and some time for them to put the pressure onto the top lane, which is what they're going to try and do here, Bad Benny. Thinking about trying to bait here. He's moving forward, trying to take the less safe way around, seeing if he can catch someone here and maybe try and bait someone in. As you can see, the two heroes waiting above the wall here. Nanda spending some time defending this bot lane. He wants to try and keep that fort alive to try and prevent the XP going over to 2B's Determined here.
Yeah, already Zarya with the unyielding defender on level 20. So easy for even more shields to be spammed out. The earthen shields as the upgrade for the earthquake. And we have at the same time now a storm shield, so survivability is really key for a lot of these heroes that we currently have on the side of the bees, and they use that to just push in up here at the top, once again trying to make a bit of a play with the blessed shield against Crystplosion. He's able to get away. Good cleanse also coming out there, and at the same time we are seeing the keep fall. Bot lane has been defended, both teams now on 20, with again the 2 coming down, and here's the earthquake.
Yeah, the Earthquake is trying to do some damage, and it drops so much protection. There's the Storm Shield as well. Look at the shields of the team here. Emerald Wind as well, used for the disengage so they can pull back. They have another Storm Shield coming from Johanna here, just picked up. They have so many shields right now, but they are able to tank through the full level 20 engage of Diamond Skin, and as such, they immediately move back up to boss. Nanda would be able to scout this if he decides to check, but is there really a huge amount they can do about this? They're down Tranquility. They're down most of their other heroes. They're definitely down Avatar. Nanda decides that this is not the place he wants to be. He pulls back. But it was enough, at least, to pull 2B's Determined off of this boss.
Yeah, and already, I mean, ADR is just spamming out the grenades at this point. We're having Crystplosion still looking for an opportunity to maybe lock someone down, but the damage doesn't follow up enough. We are having a few cooldowns in play again, but a problem as Malfurion goes down, completely caught off guard here. Expulsion Zone being used again by ADR to push him in, and that's the 5 versus 4 situation they were hoping for. Mid lane pushing, top lane pushing, and once again the play for the boss up at the top. Right wing is taking care of the bot lane, can always move in. This is nearly a checkmate position that Diamond Skin finds themselves in here, but they get the turn in, and that might save the day for now.
Yeah, that will allow them to try and counter push here. Brightwing does come in. Nanda's trying to go deep onto the boss. They want to try to steal it. The Emerald Wind used a little bit early. It's not going to be there now to push down that boss. Nanda has so little health though. Muradin has gone in. He's trying to hold the line right now. In comes Udara to attack it as well. Crystplosion gets deleted here. Nanda gets lasered. And we see Chris fleeing for his life here. But that is going to be the boss. The Web Weavers will de-push some of the lanes, but with 4 heroes alive against 1 and a boss, this is going to be GG here in favor of 2B's Determined.
Bot lane being pushed, but that doesn't help them anymore. The boss is up at the top right now, and I mean, that last fight, Muradin trying to jump in. The Earthquake already on the ground as soon as he entered. He was, of course, attempting to hold that point, but absolutely no chance. Great play here by the Beast. They fell behind early in the game, but were now able to just not only come back, but also take complete control. The Bees with victory #1, taking the lead in the best of 3 series here against Diamond Skin at the HGC 2017 qualifier. Okay, everybody, game number 2, Dragonshire. We have the Bees in the lead against Diamond Skin. And as we are starting off with Dragonshire, we have currently a ban on Tacita again. Apparently, the one thing that Diamond Skin wants to shut down, amongst other things, is that Tacita Tracer comp that TBD likes to play quite a bit. In case you haven't really seen a lot of their games, they love to bring that out every now and then. And banning Tacita, of course, shuts down a lot of these plays. Not only do you get rid of the Tacita and Tracer comp, you also shut down a lot of these double support comps that they sometimes use with melee assassins. So in this case, ETC banned out. And interestingly enough, we have Diamond Skin not only prioritizing the Vala very highly, which we see a fair amount, but they also prioritize the Johanna over Muradin in this game.
Indeed, especially on this map. This is not like Tomb of the Spider Queen, where killing those minions gathers you the gems. They do just seem, in this particular case, to prefer the Johanna, giving the Muradin over to 2B's Determined.
And the Bees now with the Malfurion, we could see them... Like, this is actually going to be a really interesting one, because we could see, of course, like, standard stuff. Let's get the Liming with the Malfurion, let's get the Muradin, but let's not forget we're on Dragonshire. And once again, we have a huge focus on globals here. We've seen a lot of the Haka plays on Dragonshire, we could see a Chen at the top lane, we could see the Thrall again, so usually you have your top lane as a dedicated solo lane. We have seen a lot of globals being played on the map. At some point during this year, even to an extent where we've seen Hunt Illidan being played as a pseudo-global. So having the mobility to jump between those shrines is incredibly important. And personally, I think this is the most challenging map in competitive play, since it requires so much coordination between the team members if you want to grab the objective.
Indeed, the two objectives, the fact you have to control all 3 lanes to win the objective, basically, and the 2 objectives to begin with, the 2 shrines, are very far apart. It is a big distance to travel, where there's many opportunities for enemies to try and guard you. Like, even if you have top, and you could probably get bot, the enemy team may be guarding mid, so it's a very hard map in terms of rotations and stealing that objective.
TBD is relying heavily on that Tychus again. I mean, no surprise there. We've been talking about him being a huge priority. And we have... Ooh, there we go. All right, come on. I want to have both.
Yeah,
don't let me hang in here. We have the Haka first of all being picked, but I would definitely not mind if they would lock in that Medivh too. I can't wait to see some AD-RD Medivh plays.
Yeah, the AD-RD Medivh is very fun and very scary. But once again, like we said, seeing the Haka over the Muradin here, getting that global, getting that XP soak, and getting that rotation up to the shrines, as conveniently, both the shrines and the DK have bushes right next to them.
I am a bit curious to see what Diamond Skin is going to ban out here right now. I mean, the Haka gives already a lot of global presence, but at the same time, of course, you still need another warrior. So we could still see them ban out, let's say, Muradin, and saying, okay, we're going to shut that down. There's a lot of DPS to be banned as well. And they also know, of course, that Medivh is always a hero that can be played by the Bees, but it is, as kind of expected, Muradin, making sure that it's not as much of a strong double front line for TBD as could have been.
Yep, which makes a lot of sense. Whereas to be determined, they're going to ban out the Brightwing. They already have the Malfurion themselves. They want to limit Diamond Skin's global potential and also try and ban out one of the really powerful supports.
Yeah, so double pick right now. With that, I mean, you can take your support last. It depends a little bit on if you want to react to what your opponent does right now. But we have already Vala taken. They can go into the Liming if they really want here. So they have a mage in addition to the auto attack damage that Vala is going to provide them. Top laner could still be locked down. We're talking Thrall, for example. We could see also something along the lines of even Alarak being played here, since Alarak at this point has not been banned out as on the last map. So he's also a pretty big playmaker for that, a very good solo laner on top of that too.
Yeah.
And Falstad for the Flies also available, so there's a global presence that they were still needing.
Yeah, Alarak's one of those heroes also who is fairly effective against a Haka, because when the Haka grabs one of your allies, the one thing you want to do is to prevent him from getting back to his team. So Alarak, with that telekinesis, one of the heroes that's very effective with that, and of course the silence will interrupt the Haka if he can get near enough. But we'll see if that's what they go with. They're going to pick their support now, and this does make a lot of sense. They could have left it till last, as there was no way to be determined we're going to steal it away from them. But this way, they're going to get the support they felt like they wanted anyway, and this way they get to adjust their last pick to what 2B's determined pick.
Yeah, and well, for the Bees, my personal question is still, are they going to drop the Medivh, yes or no? They played with them a lot, the mobility. This is one of the cool things. If you have a team that's really used to play with Medivh, you can make a lot of really cool plays. And the Bees play Medivh probably more than anybody else. And as a team, not in a Hero League environment. But they have now Chen up at the top lane. That's also, of course, the second tank. So Chen as the top laner has been confirmed. They need a little bit more damage. Medivh would provide that, but there's a lot of mages out that they could take now too, which would also work very well with Malfurion, of course. We oftentimes see the combo with him or Liming, him, Vala, no matter which hero you go there for the mana pool for cooldown reduction. So the Bees with a lot of options here, actually, and they already have a pretty scary one. Oh. And them heading into potential Zarya would once again confirm a comp that is pretty difficult to take down.
Yeah, just shield biased here, coming in from 2B's determined. Very happy with that. So they were using Zarya in the last game with a lot of damage with that Q-based build, and it did work out very well for them. So going with Zarya as sort of that pseudo bruiser here, a sort of ranged bruiser, to get in, do the damage, and also offer protection for the team in this way. Still very cool to see. Expulsion Zone can be good. We could see the Graviton Surge, but they don't really have a huge amount of follow-up for it, unless we count Dahaka's level 20 Isolation, which we don't really see, or Odin.
That smells like Thrall to me, to be honest. At this point, you need at least another melee at the front. You can't rely solely on Johanna facing off against the Haka, Chen and Zarya here when it comes to the tanky heroes. If you put the Thrall in, you have a very good solo laner up at the top lane. But they seem to go for Leoric, which of course is for a solo lane also quite strong. I'm not sure if they're going to get enough value out of Leoric in the team fights. Isolations with an Entomb are definitely good, but I'm doubting a little bit that they will be able to get the Entombs off that they need, because Malfurion and Tychus should be safe in the backline with those three frontliners. Getting Chen is not going to help you too much. Dahaka can also evade it to a certain extent. You have Zarya then with the shields. I'm curious to see how they're going to play it with Leoric here.
As am I. There's always the potential of Barrel as well for interrupting the Entomb, so you can't really get in too much, and you have to rely on Johanna to sort of tank through that, because Ariel, not having the cleanse, isn't going to be able to save anyone from the barrel if they get caught. They all have to rely on their own escape mechanisms. Volt, the Iron Skin, Barrel Roll, and Ariel doesn't really have anything for herself.
I was really expecting them to go for a Thrall, not only for the top lane as a solo laner, but also at the same time because he's adding a lot of value with the Earthquake, then again, who became now the go-to heroic ability. But, well, they chose to go into the Leoric, so we have game number 2 coming up, ladies and gentlemen. Dragonshire is the map. The B is going up against Diamond Skins. Let's jump straight into game number 2 and find out which team is going to take it here. Game number 2, everybody. We are on Dragonshire. The Bees to the left with Blade on Chen, Nick on Tychus, Curson is playing Malfurion. We're seeing ADRD once again on Zarya as on the last map, and Dahaka played by Bad Benny. As to the right side of the map, we are seeing Diamond Skin spawn with Wolf Joe on Oriel, Nanda on Leoric, Chris Blosian on Johanna, Raid Boss on Falstad, and Chris is playing Vala again. The last pick on the Leoric, definitely an interesting one. Seems to be a bit of a comfort pick. Has a lot of targets for Drain Hope, of course, with the melee heavy setup that the Bees are running currently. But let's see if that's really going to work out in the late game team fights. At this point, we're still a little bit skeptical about that. But right now, everybody just like aiming straight for the mid lane for a bit of an early brawl here.
Yeah, Nanda getting a good drain, but he literally only drained shields. He got ATRD a lot of stacks this early in the game, but he's trying to poke with that Q. He once again did take that Demolitions Expert as we expected, going for the huge harass, and look at how low he's got Nanda already.
Yeah, the Auric is of course like going to head up to the top lane, and Chen is going to do the same thing for the Bees. At this point, we have Falstad using his mobility for the bot lane, but the rotation is happening. The Bees, at this point, has a slight advantage in that. Keep in mind that when it comes to the builds, we have no auto attack build for Raid Boss. He is actually going into the Gathering Storm. We have seen, of course, a bit of a buff to also Season Marksman in the last patch, which might bring at some point maybe even Reyna into a more of a niche pick situation back into the game, since now it's not capped anymore at 40 stacks, but you can cap endlessly. So that might give some players even more incentive to go into a Falstad auto attack build. In this game, though, we are still seeing the Gathering Storm for a bit more burst and also wave.
Yeah, also going to be able to poke that backline a little bit better, as opposed to putting yourself at risk when you're trying to fight through a potential Dahaka, Chen, and Zarya. At any point, you could get engaged upon and picked off if you're not just poking, if you're trying to engage hard onto someone, like you have to with an auto attack build.
Demolitions Expert taken again on the side of Zarya. We're also having the Primal Aggression, one of the standard talents to go for if you want to have the added wave clear with Dahaka. And his mobility is, of course, going to give them the position they need. But this pressure play down at the bottom is actually starting to really bear fruit. They're about to take one of the towers down, and they are pushing this in hard.
Yeah, Johanna taking her Zarya taking her time with that kill, just making sure that she got even more energy out of this. She didn't need to kill it off in one go. That tower had ammo. And in this case for Zarya, the tower having ammo is actually beneficial to her. She can use it to gain more energy. Bad Betty trying to grab Raid Boss on the rotation, but he did scout it, which means his team in the bot lane can pull back and not get caught out. Blade and Nanda having the eternal vassal of the tanks in the top lane. And it's just a sort of game of rotations here in the mid lane. Nick, coming out on the wrong end of it, is getting chased down, but he does escape thanks to the shield and heals.
Yeah, also we have now Dahaka coming in. Bad Benny looking for an opportunity to get a drag. That didn't work out. We have Deadly Strike taken for the Panda up at the top. And besides that, with the level 4 talents, now also hammer gains for a little bit more self-sustain on the side of Falstad with the auto attacks here. Full build so far into the Drain Hope for Leoric. He will have to pressure those frontliners, and we're seeing heavy burden for the Detainment Strike, the added slow that you now have too. Raid boss for now, pausing the game here a bit. But I mean, let's sum this up just for a moment. We have a slight lead in experience on the side of the Bees, and so far it really seems that for Diamond Skin, it's not really properly working out. They are losing a lot here, a lot of ground on the bot lane. What do you think?
They are struggling with the bot lane quite a bit, but they have had a lot of control over the top lane, as Nanda was able to grab that. But you have a quick pick at the minimap. You can see, guess who's just headed up to the top lane to try and recapture that for the glorious 2B's Determined team here. If they can grab that top shrine and then rotate down to the middle, they can not only keep the pressure on that bot lane, as they already are doing with the 3 heroes they have here, unless Falstad can rotate somewhere to try and help out, they may even be able to get the Dragon Knight if they're able to play this well.
What I think is a bit of a problem, to be honest, is that right now, the Bees don't even need the Dragon Knight. If they can get it, hell yeah, by all means, like, get some extra damage in. But they're doing so well at that bot lane. If they destroy the fountain, for example, that is basically exposed, they have so much sustain here compared to the opponent that they will win these fights quite easily. They're even backing off now to start getting camps. So even without a Dragon Knight, they're doing really well as long as they can deny the objective to the opponents. I'm a little bit worried at this point for Diamond Skin.
Yeah, they do appear to be struggling. Nanda still holding that top area, but it is very much a matter of time at this point. Blade will out-sustain him eventually, just due to the fact that he doesn't use mana. All he has to do is to just keep Nanda burning abilities, and then eventually he will be able to get his opportunity to go onto the top. We did see Dahaka not engage onto the Leoric up here. They're going to have a quick scuffle up in the top lane, as bot lane is being taken a little bit by Diamond Skip, but they're being forced to back up. But Bad Benny coming in, trying to punish Wolf Joe here for being so insolent to take the shrine. And he is able to grab the first kill of the game.
And that's a big kill right now. Bad Benny is immediately down at the bottom here to help out with also the wave clear after the kill happened. He's now starting to move over. Once the tower is down, they will have access to the fountain, and that's the case as we speak. So they're going to get the fountain easily here, which is going to take the lane sustain away from Diamond Skin. Chris also at the same time have pushed far back, and there's a 3-man push right now. Dehaka was holding line for a little bit, scouting the sides, is now taking over the experience in the middle. The rest of the team at the bot lane has to back, but Chris is low. Raid boss flew in. He also has to barrel over as Nick is attempting to take him down. He just barely gets away before Curson drops the immediate route.
Yeah, that was very close, but he has now been forced to go B, as has Chris Plosion. So this bot lane continuing to take damage. They're not really able to sustain through. Like we can see here, like I said earlier, Nanda, low on health, low on mana. Chen is just slowly working him down. He's not overcommitting, he's not putting himself in danger, he's just slowly winning the lane. Like you said, they don't need the Dragon Knight, they just need to stop their opponents from getting it.
Yeah, and as you can see, another camp has now also been taken. They have all the time in the world. In experience, the advantage that we see for the Bees is nothing crazy yet, but this is really just them winning on all lanes so far. Currently, Chris Plosion and Raid Boss are trying to change that by getting pressure onto the top lane to make also Leoric's life a little bit easier, but Bad Benny has already done the exact same thing together with Malfurion, taking the camp. Falstad is helping out at the top. Chen is just never gonna lose the lane. He might not be able to win with all the rotations that are happening here, but he's not being pushed back too far, and the fort at the bot lane has already been destroyed. The Bees are just not stopping. They're pushing this in hard.
Yeah, they're still going. They take down the tower, and now finally leaving the bot lane to move up to the mid lane. There is a lovely Johanna here. Unfortunately, with the Iron Skin, Bad Benny was not able to capitalize with a kill. But now, they've just have another lane to pick up and start pushing, while Dahaka moves down to soak the bot lane.
And you can really tell they don't care about the objective at all. They could get it now on 10, now they have the option because they have a massive lead, but up to this point, they just said, why would we make rotation in place for the Dragon Knight if we can just kill the structures now, get the Dragon Knight later when we have an experience advantage thanks to us taking these structures. Now they have the Dragon Knight, they can just completely snowball it with the Dragon Knight going to the top. The wall in the middle has been destroyed, the fort at the bot lane, but Benny is everywhere with this Dehaka, has the global presence right now, gets the wave clear in, and the rest of the team is already on their way up to the top to make sure that they get the wall and might maybe even make a play for the second fort in the game.
They may do here. They do have their heroics. We still have a little bit of XP to go for Diamond Skin, but they are trying to push this Dragon Knight back, while Johanna tries to soak 2 different lanes independently so that she can rush her team to that level 10 as quick as possible so that they do not get engaged upon and burst down up in this top lane. Nanda draining, but also getting minigunned by Nick, so he actually drained about as much as he regen there.
1.5 level lead as we finally have level 10 achieved for Diamond Skin. They're playing it with the Gus, with the Strafe. We have, as expected, also the Entomb taken. We have the Aegis. And, I mean, these Entombs, he really has to make a big play with them. I just don't see what exactly he's going to achieve with it. I highly doubt that he will be able to get close enough to Curson or to Tychus to really lock him down and get that kill isolated there. They need to make some big play now with Entomb plus the Mighty Gust, I feel, to isolate a target, burst it down, and then take the team fight. Because at this point, they are more than a level behind, and it's not looking like it's going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, I would agree. There is the Entomb onto Dahaka here. He immediately gets a shield from Zarya. The expulsion zone, forcing 2 heroes away. Dahaka burrows, tries to get Leo, but just in time with that Wraith Walk after getting isolated. You can't silence him once he's already in that Wraith Walk, and Nanda gets out. Both teams dropping a couple heroics. Neither team able to capitalize on them.
Yeah, that didn't really work out the way that they were intending. They know that they have to make a play, of course, and they're trying to. In this case, it didn't work out. Chen, who rotated into the mid lane, went up to the top, but there's a drag against Nanda. Goodbye, Leoric, and they're invading the camp, or at least trying to. ADRD is on the spot. There's no Gust available, and that is a Siege Giant camp stolen away, and even more control taken on the side of the Beast, who are also getting closer and closer to the 13 talent.
Yeah, they're trying to rush to that. They are even going to put, once again, more pressure onto this mid lane. Nanda will be back in time to assist with the defense of this, but Bad Benny continues to splibbish. There's the Entomb, grabbing 2 heroes here, but once again, the expulsion zone counteracting it here. Panda Pals dropped. They try to go into Crisplosion. Raid Boss arrives in time to try and defend, and Crisplosion does escape once again. Heroics dropped, no kills gained here.
Level 13 talents are in. The Beast with the drag. Nanda in trouble. Trying to get away. Crisplosion comes in to help him out. But they still have the push going on against the fort. It's super low. ADRD just fires grenade after grenade to finally eliminate it. And that could be happening any moment. They don't even have to kill it now. They still have a massive lead in experience and the extra talent. Also, up at the top lane, Bad Benny is already making a play for the first shrine here. Blade is coming to eliminate the wave. They are looking really strong right now. Have by now the touch of Honey. And we see them also with the Pain is Temporary again. Same build that has been run by him in the last game. The Ferocious Stalker making those attempts a little bit easier even by the Haka. And on top of that, safety nets
for... no, Nanda.
Yeah, missing the Entomb. Safety nets even from Malfurion with the Icebox. So even if he gets entombed, he has something that he can use to keep himself alive a little bit longer.
Yeah, every player going for some sustain here. Gust used to save Crisplosion. He squeezes his way past the expulsion zone and begins to flee with his team. But that's another Dragon Knight going over to Bees determined. They're going to push bot. Every hero has some sustain. Nick with that the stuff. So even he has some extra tankiness here. So he's going to be able to push through with this Blade. Trying to just start on these towers for now, just giving his team more XP. They would preferably like 60, but right now they still do have a talent advantage, so they're making the most of it.
I mean, at this point, this is full control for the Beast, no doubt about it. Bot lane now being pushed hard, Siege Giants, Dragon Knight, everybody closing in. They want the keep right now. They're trying to really capitalize on the advantage they have. They know what happened in the last game when they were behind and started a comeback, and they want to make sure that Diamond Skin doesn't have the chance to start a comeback of their own now in game number 2. The keep is very likely to fall here as Diamond Skin finally picks up the level 13 talent, but it's already too late to save the keep.
Yeah, keep goes down, and as such, even with those level 13 talents, we are seeing we're seeing 2 Beasts trying to capitalize. They immediately killed both the tanks. They just charged straight through this, and now they're moving in. ADRD with almost full energy. They try to get it. The Gust is used to push a couple heroes into keep. Bad Benny tanks through with the help of Zarya and his burrow. Chris trying to drop any damage he can. The strafe is just ignored thanks to Blade with enough to share here, and they move on to the core. Try to zone out Chris, who is basically the only damage left for his team to try and save this. Nanda draining onto Blade, gets a good Entomb here, but there's no follow-up. Chris doesn't have enough mana. Nanda goes down, and the core is dropping low, but so is Blade here.
I mean, Nanda goes down. The thing is, Blade doesn't. He's still alive. We even had the silence drop from Malfurion, the Twilight Dream, just YOLOing it in to confirm the kill against Falstad, who's going to come back in just a moment. It's highly unlikely that they can really take down the core here, I feel, but they, well, actually, they might be doing it. The Haka is down 40%, the right click alone with the ult coming back on Chen. This is going to be it, Tetcha. This is a 2-0 victory. The Bees take it 11 minutes in, win it, and advance to the semifinals. GG, well played.